going to do relief printmaking today and practice on styrofoam as well as one of our choices. Over here I have some drawers, and this is where all my printmaking supplies are located. This one has some sample printmaking blocks. If you're not sure about printing and you want to practice before you even get started, you can borrow from these. Just let me know. The bottom drawer has many, I have tons of these. These are styrofoam blocks that you can use. What's nice about these is you can alter the shape because you can cut them easily. I will demonstrate that as well. If we come over here to these drawers have the tools for relief printmaking. I have my carving tools. I also have the trays that you put the ink in this drawer with a metal spoon because you will have to scoop out the ink from the jars if you choose one of those colors. This drawer has brayers and wooden spoons for rubbing the paper to the ink. Rollers and, what did I call it? Brayers and spoons, yep. And then this bottom drawer has all the ink in it. Some are in tubes, some are in, these are like tubs, and some are in tubes over there. I have a yellow out today. Okay, so this is where all the supplies are located, and paper is located on the rack where we find all of our other paper. Okay, so I'm going to start by explaining to you that when you do printmaking, the expectations stay the same for your handouts. Okay, so you may want to just start. Some of you, it's easier sometimes to draw a picture. And feel free to pick up this sheet and practice your sketches first. Remember, they should change. They should not all be the same, kind of in the same theme. I'm the teacher, so I only did 3 quickly for this. Once you make that decision, you can go back. Please stop talking, Nicholas. You can go back to the sheet that has all the vocabulary words listed, and you will pick 3 that you think work with your project. So for this one, I picked line. I picked shading. Specifically cross-hatching, because in printmaking you have to use lines to make that value change happen. And then I also picked realistic because I have obviously the pumpkins, and it's something we can all recognize. Okay, so after I do that, where did my little sheet go? Here it is. After I do that, I share all this information that's filled out with Mrs. Yaeger. She is going to give you, I'm going to give you a block for the printmaking. They look like this. They're located over there. You will put it on your final planning sheet and you will trace it so that you have the exact shape, because this is the size you will work with. If you do it this way and you don't like it, you're just going to pick up another one and redraw. This will be the actual drawing, so you need to make sure it's perfect. Once we've decided, and you've shared it with me and we've had a little conference about it, that it is what you want it to be, you are going to cut excuse me. You're going to cut it out, and then you are going to trace it 3 times with your pencil. We are making a graphite transfer. This project, you can have words on it. They will print correctly if you do it on the sheet originally. After you've cut it out, you are going to lay it on your block. You're going to tape it down, and you're going to use the back of a scissors to press the paper to the block. When you're done with that, it will pull up and you will have all the pencil lines left behind. See how my word is backwards? Okay, so it should be backwards on your block, but when you go to print it, it will print it right side again. Okay, if your lines seem like they're rubbing off, you can go back with a Sharpie marker and trace all of them so that they don't rub off while you're carving. Okay, you should also grab a small Sharpie and write your name on the side of it, so that people don't take it, because you're going to store it in your big drawers. Okay? Once you have that transferred and everything's ready to go, I'm going to get a carving tool for you, and I just showed you where they're located. They come in all different sizes. I have skinny, medium, and wide. Okay? This is a medium one. The ones with these kind of handles are a little bit newer. They're very sharp. And I say that because if you're carving and you have pressure behind it and it slips, you will cut your hand. So there's a couple rules that you need to follow when carving. When I do it, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to hold it in this hand and I put my pointer finger right along the top of it. This helps me control where I'm going. Okay? My extra hand is always going to be behind it, so I'm going to carve away from myself. okay? If I have to turn my block to do it, I can turn my block to do it. But I'm always carving away. If you would go here, cutting into your hand will hurt a lot, okay? So we don't want that. When you do this, you can see how the bottom is kind of flat. You kind of start by digging in and then you flatten off your blade so that you do not carve all the way through the block. When I put it down, I like to end, like if my lines end off the edge, it's better for me to go this way than it is to go this way. If I slip and make my line too far into my design, I can't put it back together. It's a mistake that you have to work with, okay? So I am going to start here and I'm going to press. So I start where I kind of find my line, I dig down and then I flatten it off so that I can follow that line. If you're off a little bit, nobody's gonna know. You wanna get as close to those designs as possible. If I'm going this way, so see how I turn my block? You can do something like this with your, I'm turning my block as I go. This is really easy stuff to carve. What I was going to show you is that I can go back and I can create little lines more so inside my stem here, and that will create a texture. So do you see the difference? Okay, so you want to be thinking of those kind of things when you're carving a block, because that's going to show us value on your picture. Okay, once I've done that, then I will print, and I will show you that in a second. Before I print though, I want to show you my little styrofoam guy. Hang on. So here is my styrofoam guy. The way this works is if you have a pencil, you draw on your design with your pencil. You want to make sure that you press enough so that you can have a nice large groove there. This is one of those materials that if you wanted to cut out the pumpkin and use it as a stamp in that type of shape, you can easily do that, okay? You could also do this to practice. If you do words on this one though, they're not going to work because it's going to be the wrong direction. So don't use words with this material, okay? So I did my little pumpkins here and I did little dots in my background. So to do that, I just used my pencil and pressed into the material. It's very soft. It goes really quick, okay? So you can try either one. So now I'm gonna print, I'm not gonna print this one, but I am gonna print this one for you. This is one of my blocks I did like 2 years ago. If you look in the background, I gave that texture in the background where I carved it away so that it gives me a pattern, okay? So there's my two. Let me get my, I thought I had this, but I don't. Here's my tray. These are enamel trays, so they're really easy to clean up. I'm gonna start with my ink, and I'm gonna just kind of make a line down the center. If you do it with the spoon, because you get it out of the thing, you kind of just spread it out evenly. This is my roller, so I'm gonna take my roller, and I'm gonna roll it back and forth, kind of pick it up a little so that I try to cover my whole roller. I can change directions if I need to. That sticky sound is something you want to be listening for. If it doesn't do it and it just kind of slips back and forth, that means you have too much ink, okay? So I am going to print this one first. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna just roll right over my surface. Now some of you, when you printed with other teachers, they may have told you to pick it up and lay it on top of your paper. I'm gonna do mine a little bit differently. Like, I'm not gonna put my paper down. It's kind of hard to pick it up, especially because it's really thin, and lay it this way. I'm gonna do it the opposite. I'm gonna lay my paper on top of my print because I can get a better sense of the pressure and I can see where I've been. Okay, if it's upside down, I can't see anything. So I can use my fingers. I wanna make sure once it's stuck, I don't wiggle it around. Make sure my hand's on it, and then I can also use the wooden spoon to evenly put pressure on it to make sure the ink pulls off of it. So there's a pumpkin print. This works really nice. It's not that bad of a material. Okay, now the other one I'm gonna show you is this print, this block. So this block is 2 years old. I've done it a bunch of times. I use black. I've used yellow all day today, but I've had black on here, so obviously it's really dirty and dark. None of that will affect it. When I go to print it, you will see no black ink coming off. When I'm storing this, when I'm not using it, I'm gonna lay it in my tray so that it doesn't roll off the table or just get the table dirty. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna drop my paper on it. I'm gonna press my hands on the surface to make sure that it's not moving anywhere. Once I know that I've gotten everything, I'm going to pull it off. So you can see my words a little bit better now. See how none of the black came off? So once you use a color and it's clean, it won't damage it, okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to share with you is we talked a little bit prior to this with the collagraphs and the monoprints and all that stuff. Earlier in class today, I did this with 3rd and 4th hour. These colors don't work good together. If I would have chosen black for this color to put my print over the top, I would have had something called contrast. There'd be a difference in the colors, and then that black would stand off. So keep that in mind. You should be thinking of mixing materials and things like that and adding those layers to your artwork when you're using printmaking and now continuing to make art. Does that make sense? Awesome. All right, you can go back to making your Thanksgiving stuff.